All right, so now I can proceed to share my screen since we have everything sorted. Okay, yes. So now, let me just go back to the beginning. A career path in Web3 as a developer. So if you are a developer and you are a front-end developer, you are a back-end developer, you are a full-stack developer, and you are looking for a career path or how you can step your foot into the Web3 ecosystem, what are things you need to know? How can you navigate the ecosystem? And also, of course, securing both full-time roles, contract roles, and anything that you think you can benefit from within the Web3 space. These are the things we'll be discussing during this session. And this is the first session of the Web3 Africa monthly workshop. And because of, we've gotten like a frequently asked question about how to navigate the ecosystem as a developer, what are the things you need to know? This is why we are doing this first. Our subsequent session would range from mostly technical session, where we'll be getting different mentors, different professionals from different ecosystem, different protocols to come and give or facilitate a workshop. And all of these would be recorded and uploaded on our YouTube channel so that we can always reference it when we need it. Being a member of the Web3 Africa or you are new to the Web3 Africa community. So a career path in Web3 as a developer. Quick intro about me. My name is Idris Olubisi. I am a software engineer and a technical writer. I currently work as a developer advocate at Axela. I create technical content for Free Code Camp, session engineering, among others. And also, I also create Web3 content for Ashnode, LogRocket, Moralis, and Alchemy. These are like platforms within the Web3 ecosystem. I am also a developer DAO member and a mentor and a backend lead at Code Africa. So enough about me, let's get right into it. So first, this session is mostly targeted to beginners and intermediates. So what I want us to get out of this is, as a beginner, how do you navigate the Web3 space being a developer? As an intermediate professional, how do you do the same thing, navigating through the Web3 ecosystem as a developer? So these are like the two parts that will be following, like the structure throughout this talk today. First, to start with, who is a Web3 developer? Since we've mentioned a career path in Web3 development, how to get started, and what are the things you need to know. But let's quickly talk about who exactly is a Web3 developer, or what are the things you should know for you to call yourself a Web3 developer. A Web3 developer is a software developer who specializes in building decentralized applications using the blockchain technology. It's as simple as that. So take a look at it, right? We have the Web 1 era where users are mostly consumers. They consume content online. Then gradually things change. We began to think about, how can we make it interactive? How can you have access to like chats, messaging, reply, and all of those things? And then Web 2 was introduced, right? Which is the current system that we have right now, the social media platform where you could interact, send messages, react to messages, like, share, and all of those things. These are typical examples of what Web 2 is capable of doing. And then in the Web 2 ecosystem, you have application built on the front end, leveraging the database, and we have the back end. All of these things like interconnected together where a user can sign up, log in on a platform, do anything that is available on that platform. And also all of these details have been recorded in the database, right? And things gradually change, what changed actually between the Web 2 and the Web 3 ecosystem is the blockchain technology. So we still have the same interaction, the same user experience that you are already experiencing in the Web 2 space within the Web 3 space also. But what is different in this case is what actually powers the whole Web 3 website, which is the third iteration of internet, like I would like to call it, right? So in this case, we're referencing the blockchain technology. So as a Web3 developer, or if you want to call yourself a Web3 developer, you need to have understanding of what is happening within the blockchain space And you need to also understand that the difference between Web2 and Web3 is the blockchain technology powering the Web3 ecosystem, right? So that is who a Web3 developer is, right? If you are new to the system, you should understand this, and so that you get clarity of the difference between the Web2 and the Web3 ecosystem. Moving on, what are the skills required or needed for a Web3 developer? I mentioned you should know how to you should leverage blockchain technology to build decentralized application. But then what are the skills required? Number one here is blockchain fundamentals. You see, either you are a front-end developer in the Web2 space, a back-end developer, or a full stack, or in fact you are completely new to tech and you're looking forward to start a career in the Web3 space. Blockchain fundamentals is required. It is very, very important. So one of the key resources that I would like to share here, especially for those that are non-technical trying to transition into the space, is to check out Whiteboard Crypto on YouTube. They have a lot of videos that explains the blockchain fundamentals, and this has nothing to do with anything technical. So if you want to quickly get started to understand some of these terms, understand things within the Web3 space, you can check it out and then learn more about the blockchain fundamentals. And aside this YouTube video, you can also do your own research, leverage Google to research about some of these things on what is happening within the space, what are the fundamental things you need to understand in the Web3 space, right? The number two is cryptography fundamentals. So this is heavy when it comes to the blockchain ecosystem because it's heavily built around cryptography hashing and some sort of algorithm, right? But then it's also good to spend some time as a developer that is transitioning, or like some of the skills you should think through, or some of the skills you should learn and try to understand when you're starting out a career in the Web3 space, right? Number three here is understanding of governance and consensus model, right? This might be completely new and it is totally fine if you don't understand what is happening, but these are things that we cannot skip just because it is complex. It's something good for you to have an idea about, and you don't need to digest the whole thing, but just get the fundamental knowledge behind it. And then while you learn more about the space, you begin to understand how they work under the hood, how governance work, what exactly is consensus model, and all of these things, right? This is number two. This is like major requirement for you, or skills required for you in the Web3 space as a developer. Number four, programming skills. So here we have 4 programming skills listed, right? Solidity, Rust, Viper, Cadence, right? As a developer transitioning into the space, you are not required to learn all of these things. As you can see, it is stated on the presentation that Solidity or Rust, right, or Viper or Cadence, right? You don't need to learn everything. You just need to pick one and then double down, learn more about it, use it to build amazing stuff, and then you should be good to go. Unless there is a need for you to pick up additional language depending on your use cases or the project you are working on, then you can now learn more. But to start with, you can choose either Solidity, Rust, Viper, or Cadence. Number 5 on the list is JavaScript, right? You might be wondering, why do I need JavaScript, or why is JavaScript a skills required to transition into the Web3 space? So first, you need to understand that JavaScript is useful in the front end a lot, right? Even though you can build application on the back end with JavaScript also, but then if you have like a front end skill set, maybe HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, or any of these development, any of this framework or library, then you can just transition into the space, leveraging your existing skill sets to become a front-end Web3 developer in the space. So you use your existing HTML, CSS, JavaScript knowledge, or any of these framework, React in this case, for example. If you have those skills already, you can leverage those skill sets and still excel in the Web3 space as a developer, but in this case, focusing on building front-end application for decentralized application in the Web3 space, right? Then last but not the least is Web3 tools. So we have a lot of tools, right? Depending on where you want to settle with, right? Either you want to become a front-end developer in the Web3 space, a Solidity developer, which we can regard to as a backend developer, or a full stack developer in the Web3 space, where you build the contract and you still go ahead and build the front end to interact with the contract. So we have tools like Ether.js, we have tools like Web3.js, we have like different tools, which I'll be sharing in a couple of slides, right? For you to understand if you want to transition as a front-end developer, as a back-end, or a full stack developer. So let's talk about Web3 roadmap briefly. Okay, yeah. So Web3 developer roadmap, right? If you Google Web3 developer roadmap, you see a lot of roadmap, written by different developers or like professionals in the space for you to transition. All of these roadmap are kind of unique to their own perspective. But then if you check about 3 to 4 of them, you realize that there are a couple of things in common, which means that they are still kind of saying the same thing, but with different approach, right? So there are no specific Web3 developer roadmap I would share, because no one is there to like restrict you to what you need to learn, right? So what exactly it is, right? What exactly do you need as a developer to, figure out a part that you need to leverage, following through the roadmap to become a developer within the Web3 space? There are no specific roadmap that serves like a primary requirement for you, that if you don't follow this, you won't succeed. But to be honest, when, like I mentioned earlier, when you check all of this roadmap, you find a lot of things in common. And I'll be mentioning all of those things, but then I won't just mention for mentioning's sake, right? I'll also try to double down on, different fields that we have in the Web3 space. Mind you, this is focusing on developers, right? Full stack, front end, and back end, right? If you have any of these skill set already, then it's fine. If you don't have, or you're trying to learn any of these skill sets, maybe because you're new in tech, or you're not new in tech, but you're trying to transition into the space. This is why I'm going like in depth to explain what are the things you need to focus on. And I'll try as much as possible not to like waste your time. I'll just go directly to give you what is required for you to get started quickly. So now, which is the phase of transitioning into the Web3 space, right? Transitioning into Web3, of course, as a developer, right? First, you can transition into the Web3 space as a front-end developer. You can transition into the Web3 space as a back-end developer. And also, you can transition into the Web3 space as a full-stack developer. First, to start with, front-end. If we have any front-end developer, you can just on the chat session say hi, so I would just see it. If you are also a back-end developer, you can also drop a chat to indicate what stack you are, a front-end, full stack, or a back-end, right? So moving on, the front-end development, transitioning into the space as a front-end developer, your existing skill set in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and any other framework like React, Angular, all of these things are highly applicable and really useful for you to become a front-end Web3 developer. Please, 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 if you are a front-end developer, try as much as possible to make sure you sharpen your front-end skill set and then transition into the space safely. Other than trying to learn programming languages, meanwhile, you are very good at translating designs into front-end code. If you already have that skill set, or you're just learning that, just try to double down and then sharpen that skill set. So when you want to transition into the Web3 space, you can easily just leverage those existing skills to do amazing things within the Web3 space. So to dive into Web3, you need to understand the blockchain concept, which is the fundamentals that I mentioned earlier. You need to familiarize yourself with related terms. You need to, try to understand how to interact with blockchain through library SDKs that are publicly available. So examples of this libraries that I just mentioned is Web3.js. If you Google Web3.js, it's an open source library that you can easily just install and then start interacting with a smart contract from your front-end application. If you spin off a Next.js application or you spin off a React application, you can easily leverage these SDKs to interact with any smart contract that is already deployed on chain, right? Another example is Ita.js, Web3.py for Python developers. So the interesting part is if you have like Python experience in Web2 or you're already learning, how to program in Python and you want to transition into the space as a front-end developer, all of your front-end skill sets that you currently have is very useful and transferable when you're transitioning into the space as a front-end developer. Another one is Git, React Moalis, and Alchemy Web3. These are like packages that you can install and then get to interact with smart contracts that is deployed on chain. So now let's talk about backend, right? So generally, backend offers like a great path for you to explore the Web3 ecosystem generally. So if coding and building attracts you more than CSS, like I would like to say, me personally, I'm not a big fan of CSS because I have been a backend developer in like 90% of my career. And then I think, right, you can consider a full-time role as a smart contract developer. But then what do you need? What do you need to become a smart contract developer? And that's transitioning from being a backend developer. Mastering languages like Solidity, Rust, or Viper is key for you to build like smart contracts and then blockchain and blockchain projects within the space. So please, let me just reiterate, right? You don't need to like learn Rust, Solidity, and Viper. You can just pick one and then settle with it, right? So these programming languages allow you to build smart contracts and then deploy them on chain. So if you already have like existing knowledge in maybe Golang, Solidity, Golang, JavaScript, .NET, C#, and all of these languages, you can easily pick up any of these programming language that is suitable for building smart contracts. So here you can pick up Solidity or you can pick up Rust. If you have like Python experience already, you can try out Viper since it's like Python compatible, and then it's useful for you to build smart contracts and then deploy on chain. So as a backend developer, you can choose to just settle with learning a programming language, start building smart contracts, auditing contracts if you even want to learn more or do more advanced stuff than just building contract alone. You can do all of those things, and then this might be easier for you because as a backend developer, you have been dealing with several programming languages within the Web3 and within the Web2 ecosystem before you want to try. That's an assumption, right? So even if it's not several languages, right? If it is JavaScript you are very good at, you can pick up Solidity and then start building and deploying smart contracts on chain, right? If you think, okay, you have experience in Go or you have experience in JavaScript too, or any other programming language in the Web2 space, and you want to give Rust a shot, then you can just try out Rust, understand what it is, try to build projects with it, and then build smart contracts with Rust programming language, right? So now let's proceed to the last part, which is categorized as, which we categorized earlier, front-end, back-end, and then full stack, right? So just to reiterate for those that are not so familiar with what, full stack developer, maybe what you need to become a full stack developer or what are the requirements for you to become a full stack developer, then trying to transition into the Web3 space as a full stack developer. So a full stack developer handles both web application, the front end, and also the back end. So the front end involves like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Angular, Svelte, Vue.js, or any of these, front end library. And then on the back end, you can code with languages like JavaScript, Java, Go or C#. So this is a typical full stack developer. But then if you have a full stack experience and you want to transition into the space, you would need to learn or pick up additional programming language, because remember that you're a full stack developer and you want to be a full stack Web3 developer also, or you want to understand how to build a full stack project, being you have like a background in full stack development as a developer in the Web2 ecosystem. You can choose any of the programming languages I've mentioned earlier, which is Solidity or Rust or Viper, for building blockchain smart contracts. Additionally, if you already have experience with the RGS, that is perfectly fine. Then what you can just do after learning Solidity or any of this language for building smart contracts, you build your smart contracts, you plug in your existing skill sets as a React developer or as a front-end full stack experience developer, which also have experience in building front-end application. You can plug all of these tools together and then be able to build and then ship product as a full stack developer within the Web3 space. So now you'll be the one to translate design into front end, and then be the one to build the smart contract and then connect the front end and the smart contract to interact with each other seamlessly. So now we've talked about what are the skills required. We also talked about things that you need to focus on as a front-end developer, back-end developer, full-stack developer. Either you are already new, you are new into the space, like we were to space or tech generally, or you are not new to tech, but then you want to transition into the space, and you are looking, to become any of these categories that I listed, which is front-end, back-end, or full-stack, and still being relevant in the Web3 space. But there's something always missing, right? Which I've seen over time. And this is the significance of communities in the career of the Web3 developer. Because the space is an evolving space, right? It's growing every time. We have seen a lot of growth in the past couple of years. And then we have seen a lot of development, right? But then Web3 community is really strong. So while building your career, it's advisable that you don't do all of these things in silo. Be a part of a community, attend their workshops, attend webinars, attend educational sessions so that you understand and also benefit from the community. In fact, you can go as far as participating, contributing to that community just to make the most out of the community, right? It's easier for somebody to refer you to a role as being a community member than somebody that does not even know you at all, and you reach out to the person randomly to say, hey, I'm looking for this role. They might do it, right? Don't get me wrong that you can't reach out for help or reach out to somebody to connect with them and then, for them to refer you. But I feel, and from what I've seen, it's pretty faster when you want to do it, or like when you get referred by somebody within the community, somebody that already know you, somebody that already understand, how capable you are and how proficient you are in that skill set. It's very easy to, just refer them and then be fine with it, right? So what are some significance, what significance do communities have in the career of a Web3 developer? I'll be mentioning a few here, which is networking, job opportunity, and then access to resources, right? These three key things are very important, right? When you are thinking through the process of becoming a Web3 developer. Networking, number one, is if you are networking in the Web3 space, how do you even start the conversation in the first place? Let me give a typical example here. I've seen user A respond to my chat within the community. Using Web3 Africa community as an example, I've seen user A sending messages, replying to people's messages, contributing to the community, and then he's also sharing his ideas. If he creates content, he drops it. If he creates blog, he shares it with the community. Anything technical he's doing, is building in public and then sharing with people within the community. People get to ask questions from him. It gives clarity. User A is always there to help, right? Now, as a user B, you find an opportunity, somebody reach out to you and say, I'm looking for a Web3 developer or somebody that have like front-end experience within the Web3 space. Would like to, have him join our team. Do you have anyone? And you have been seeing user A posting things about front-end development within the space and some of the things he has done in the past. It's very easier to say, user, hey, I have this opportunity. Would you be interested? Because even you'll be happy to refer, but because you've seen the person, impact or like contribution or what the person is capable of doing over time, right? That's number one. Number two is job opportunity. Apart from networking, which is kind of, similar, apart from networking, because networking sometimes can just be like reaching out to this person and getting to meet them as a friend and then nothing more than that. But then that can also translate into like job opportunities, which I already give like a scenario in a couple of minutes ago, right? A scenario where user A is posting things and then user B recommends user A, right? So job opportunities come from you becoming being active in a community or being a part of a community, other than just trying to build alone or do your thing alone within the Web3 space. Then number three, which is the last but not the least, is access to resources, right? If there are specific activities happening within the ecosystem that you might not even be aware of, communities are best place for you to get access to those, what is happening within the space. Additionally, resources that could help you even grow better as a developer could also be found in any of the communities that you're actively participating in, right? This helps the whole process of, oh, I don't know this thing is happening. Resources is not only like sharing links to blog or sharing books or sharing video, but resources could even be like sharing links for people to register for an hackathon, sharing links for people to register for a particular Web3 conference or Web3 event happening, or in fact, a workshop that is happening and you want people to know about these workshops, right? So these are like ways that people could join or people could benefit leveraging communities within the Web3 space as a developer. But then that's not all. I would like to mention a couple of communities that are really active in the space and they are also beginner friendly. They have similar goal with what Web3 Africa is doing to onboard more people into the ecosystem. Number one here is Developer DAO, which is a DAO where Web3 Africa is spin-off from. We have Web3 Africa, we have Web3 Bridge, we have Learn Web3. We have Women Build. Build space, we have Web3 University, we have a lot, and they've gotten several reviews and in the Web2 space, but they want to transition into the Web3 space safely and also making the best out of being a developer in the Web3 space. So a recap before we move on to the Q&A section is a full stack developer handles both web application involving all of these things together, right? But then they also require programming language like Solidity, Rust, or Viper for crafting smart contracts, which I already mentioned earlier. After that, what next? If you've learned about the skill set required for you to become a developer in the Web3 space, the career path, you understand how it looks like for you as a developer that wants to transition into the space. But to be honest, it's easier said than done, like the popular saying where people can tell you this is how it's done. But ideally, you need to understand that being in the Web3 space as a developer does not mean that you get to do less work as a developer. The development process still continues. And the only thing that could differentiate you from any other person within the space, or differentiate you from like a DeFi person or somebody that is just, not technical within the space, is for you being a developer and then actively building in the Web3 space, right? So I would encourage you to take your time, digest all of this information passed during this session, try to pick where you want to, fall into, or what interests you the most, and then double down by learning more about that specific, field as a developer within the space, and then continue building. So thank you so much for joining. This is a simple, or like a very small survey that takes you less than 1 minute for you to fill in. Sorry, let me just accept this person. So this takes you like less than 1 minute to fill in, to give feedback how this session have been beneficiary to you as a developer, and also what are the things you are looking out for in the subsequent sessions. Thank you very much. So I'll be happy, to open the floor for question and answer. If you have questions, please feel free to unmute your mic. And if you think you can't speak right now, you can drop a chat and then we'll be happy to answer your question. So I'm passing the mic back to Messi.
Thank you so much, Idris. That was a very, very beautiful session. You me that I'm not a developer, I've learned a lot. Thank you for that session. So if you have a question, yes, someone asked if we are done. Yes, the session is over. We are here in the question and answer session. So we have Oluwatobi Manuel. Please unmute your mic and ask your question. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Mr. Manu. Thank you so much for the session. Really insightful and
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me?
Short. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, perfect. Sorry, I dropped off for a while. Okay. Yeah, you can ask your
back.
question.
Yeah, back.
All right, thank you. Yeah.
So thank you so much for the session. It's really insightful. Short but insightful. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, my question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
You're
sure. Okay, great. My question is, okay, presently I'm learning okay, I'm in the Web3 bridge community. Yeah, so and I'm taking part in, okay, they have these two should I say sessions for persons that are willing to transition into Web3, but of course they do not have the Web2 knowledge. They don't have the knowledge of HTML and CSS, and of course JavaScript. So yeah, I'm pretty much a beginner here, so I had to start from the Web2 to get the knowledge of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So my question is, I think every beginner would really ask this question. I'm aware that it boils down to this question is actually personal, but I just want to ask if there is I don't want to call it a roadmap, but if there is a particular duration that you would have said, okay, or you know what, I've learned, I'm done with HTML, I'm done with CSS, not really like done, of course, maybe that time when you would say, okay, I'm ready to transition into Web3, I could now take up a programming language in Web3. I don't know if you understand what I mean.
All right.
Hello? Okay.
I think I understand your question, and thank you for asking that. That's actually a wonderful question, because this is not even directly related to like Web3 alone, but also very useful in the Web2 space, right? We tend to like, we want to have like timing so that we can know if you are progressing or not, right? But another thing there's one thing you should understand, that it can be 1 year for me to, get comfortable building with HTML, CSS, or JavaScript, and it could take somebody else like 6 months. It could take this person 1 year and a half. In fact, it could take another person like 2 years for them to get like, comfortable to say, okay, I'm a developer and I can know how to do this, right? But then you need to understand the path you are following before you can tell like, this is the path I want to, settle with. or this is the time frame I'm looking at. So for example, during the talk, I gave an example of, the three categories that is like the most common category, being a developer and then transitioning into the space, front end, back end, or full stack. So for example, as a beginner, like you asked, if you know that you want to be, if maybe you've done a couple of things in front end and you think you find front end really interesting, right, to continue building front end application. When you pick up and you start to build application, you can gauge yourself things that you've learned. From day zero, you won't be able to build any application. But if you continue learning, if you get to like 6 months into it, you'd have some sense or idea or understanding on how to build and deploy an application, depending on a roadmap or a path you are following. So we have free resources available, like free code camp, if you want to become a front-end developer. This is not Web3 related. This is just being a front-end developer. There's a very well-structured curriculum for you to become a front-end developer on freecodecamp.org, and it's free. Right? So when you are on that part, learning the front-end fundamentals that are required for you to become a front-end developer. After finishing the curriculum, you can finish the curriculum within 30 days, within 2 months, 3 months, because it's self-paced learning, like nobody's rushing you, right? Those are like things that you can use to gauge how good you are before you can start building projects. Once you start building projects, there is nothing like I'm not good enough. Once you start building projects, there are so many things that you learn on the job. When I mean on the job, this might not be you getting like a full-time, contract or internship yet. It could be like portfolio project that you're building, or like community project that you participate to help them to build for free. All of these kind of projects could help you shape the way you learn faster. And then if you after you feel like comfortable with building front-end application and you want to transfer this skill set in the Web3 space. So I gave an estimate of 6 months, right? You need to understand this could vary. It could be less than, but I've not seen any less than, because like you mentioned, there's nothing like I'm done with learning, I can now start building. You keep learning, right? But then you can do it within 6 months. There'll be a certain level of knowledge that you've acquired within those months, right? That will help you to build those applications successfully, right? Which is just the same way you build your front-end application in the Web2 space. And then all you need to do in the Web3 space is to understand how to interact with smart contracts from your front-end application that you built. So there are no, going back to the answer, like the direct answer is, there's no fixed time to say within 1 year you should be, but then it depends on how much time you are committing to learn, maybe front end or Web3, or how much time you are committing to, upskill as a developer. You can't compare somebody committing 10 hours per day to somebody committing 2 hours per day, right? There will be like a huge gap of knowledge, right? And you can't, and it doesn't mean that because this person is committing 10 hours, he's able to achieve it in 6 months. The person committing 2 hours must be able to achieve it in 6 months. No, the person it could span like from 6 months, because he's committing 2 hours, he or she is committing 2 hours, it could span for 1 year before they can get comfortable to say, I'm a developer and I can build front-end applications or build a website for you from developer's perspective, like using development tools, and not like a content management system that can easily bootstrap a front-end application for you. I hope that answers your question.
Sure, it does. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, if you
Thank
need
you.
clarity, you can drop the chat, or you can always reach out to me, via DM on Twitter or within the Web3 African community. I'll be happy to help, because these are like the things that we need to understand when we're trying to, navigate the space or navigate tech generally. So we don't spend much time doing things that are not so important for us.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Olani. Thank you.
Thank you, Manuel.
You're
Mayowa,
welcome.
you have a question. You have the floor now.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Idris. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for hosting this space.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, this is not the first time I'm meeting you anyway. and that was how I got to know about the Discord channel. Anyway, so I wanted to ask us, I've been I've been working with Solidity, Hadat, and EtherJS for a while now. Currently writing another contract
Okay.
that I want to answer my portfolio. But I was also thinking that I should try to be looking for gigs by this side, so that
Yeah.
if what works out, I can use that one also, to get experience. So I would like to ask if there are like platforms or any particular place I could easily search for Web3 kind of gigs and all.
Oh, okay. When you mean gigs, you mean both writing, non-writing gigs, right? Or like full-time roles?
Writing, developer gigs, development gigs and all.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So there are different platforms that you could check out, right? But it's not limited to these platforms, right? And in fact, generally, what I would always advise is when you are shooting your shot, it's always good to shoot your shot directly on a company's career page than trying to go from one random platform that you don't know, right? So if you find any protocol, which is number one, to answer to your question, if you find any protocol that you're interested in, or people that are building dev tools that you are interested, in what they are doing, and you want to want to join them, you can just scroll down to check their website and scroll down to the bottom. Most of these platforms do have like a career page. You can check it out and see the one that fits what you currently do, and then start shooting directly on the career page. That's number one. Number two, you can check out LinkedIn. On the LinkedIn search, you can just type in Web3 roles. Just type in Web3 roles, right? Web3 roles would bring a lot of roles for you, general roles within the Web3 space. But then if you want to drill down to like front-end development in Web3, you can search for Web3, front-end Web3 developer roles, or you search for back-end Web3 developer, smart contract Web3 developer or smart contract developer. You see a lot of, but make sure you're adding the keyword roles you get, or these are like keywords I'm mentioning, right? Or you use hiring in Web3. That keyword, when you search it on LinkedIn, you see like people that have made a post or people that have posted a job about, Web3 roles or a job related to the Web3 ecosystem, or people that made a post that's saying, okay, they're hiring people within the Web3 space. You get, so that's number two. Number three is startup.jobs. If you check out the website, they usually have updated, job board, and for both Web3 and non-Web3 roles, right? Where you can easily apply and then, just sit down and wait for feedback. You get. So that's number three. Number four is, I don't want to mention like sites because I've tried a couple of sites that apply. I didn't get any response. So I see those sites as like a dummy site, right? So I wouldn't want to recommend any of those sites. The fourth one is Twitter, right? Twitter plays a major role when it comes to like getting a job. I understand how the job market is right now. It is very crucial to understand like the job market for both Web3 and Web2, it's somehow right now. And everyone, we don't have like active hiring process like compared to what happened last year, right, this year, but we are still really optimistic because there's still a lot of people still hiring despite the fact of what is happening within the market right now. But then Twitter plays a major role because you can come across tweets when you engage with like people within the tech space, within the Web3 community, and like professionals within the space. Some of them, they tweet opportunities that you can shoot your shot, or in fact, you can reach out to companies or directly via DM, or CEO, hiring manager via DM on Twitter, and then just go straight to the point and tell them if they are looking to hire somebody that have your specific skill sets. This can also work for LinkedIn too, DMing them directly to just, make some research about the company, check who is the hiring manager, check who is the CEO, and check who you can reach out to see if they are hiring. That also helps a lot. I've seen a couple of people have gotten internship roles and all of that due to just DMing, but you should be careful about it because you don't want to spam anyone or you don't want to force them to do something. You can just go straight to the point, introduce yourself, tell them what you are looking for, and then ask if they'll be, willing to help, or like they have a time for chat or any of these things before you now start giving them a lot of text or going detailed. Because if you go detailed the first time of messaging, then they might struggle with reading a lot of text from stranger that did not even, they haven't chatted with before and just want to like start the conversation, right? So those are like 4 ways that I would recommend, and I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank
Thank
you very
you so
much.
much. Yeah, Idris, Noah asked a question here. He's saying that it does not like a front end, it doesn't like front end stuff, and that is it compulsory that he has learned. Now, please, can you unmute your mic and ask your question? I really do not get what you wrote here. Are you there?
Okay, he said I don't like front-end stuff. Is it compulsory? I learn React and all that. Yeah, it's not compulsory in the Web3 space, right? But it's advisable that if you already have front-end skill sets, don't think it's not relevant again, and then you now want to force a programming language like Solidity or Rust or Viper or Cadence to yourself, all because you think you're having issues with you think you want to learn everything, right? Because if you have like a front-end skill set, it's very useful for you to translate. You still do the same front-end, but then you just need to install packages to, interact with blockchain, and then you'll be fine. You continue as a front-end, but then you'll be translating designs from as a design mock-up into like front-end codes, and you should be fine with that. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. So Ife also has a question that between Solidity, Viper, Rust, and Cadence, which one is in high demand?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. I think all of them have like a very good job market. To be honest, it depends on what you are really interested in. For example, on that list, I would say Solidity is the most popular, right? But then when you say high in demand, right? All of these skills, all of these are like tools for you to build smart contracts. So in as much, smart contracts is relevant within the space, then you can pick any of these tools, double down on it, let people know you're good at it, and then, start shooting your shot. So if you learn, for example, Cadence now is a specific programming language for Flow blockchain. So you might not even be able to connect with other ecosystems if you learn that, unless you have like interest in building on Flow, and then you should be good to go, because when they are looking for a Flow blockchain developer, you are there. Solidity, allow you to build for all EVM compatible chains, and EVM compatible chains are very like they have a lot of them, right? The EVM ecosystem is very big. That's why I see most people doing Solidity, because they have like a huge audience, huge market. Then Rust is not for, like, compared to Solidity where it's built for smart contracts. Rust is built for, building compiler languages and all of that. So if you have like Rust experience, you can even do some other things apart from, smart contracts. But then you can also use it to build, smart contract, build compiler stuff, and build low-level language application. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, we'll be taking just 2 more questions in the chat box. So Adedamola has a question. Idris, will you be reading it?
Okay, yeah. So he said, I am aspiring to build a career in Web3 space, and I am currently working on getting into the job market. While I lack traditional job experience, I have been actively involved in developing 3 backend projects as a Solidity developer. The question is, how can I effectively structure my resume for job application, given my project experience but no job experience? Additionally, what level of knowledge of Web3 and blockchain is typically expected alongside being a Solidity developer to increase my chances of securing a job in this field? This is a very, very interesting question, right? So I'll start on the first one, where you asked, how can I effectively structure my resume? So resume are a little bit tricky, but they are like standard for all resume. The standard is that your resume should not exceed one page, right? And if it does, then it should never exceed 2 pages, right? For any reason. That's number one. Number two is, under that same question, is how do you effectively structure it? So I think the standards are, having like the short bio or intro about what you do, your experience. So experience in this case, due to the question you asked, like you don't have like job experience. Experience in this case could be like the project you've worked on, or a community you currently actively contribute to. It could be an open source community. Just think of it. If you are not part of any community, try to join one, see if they are building something or they are doing something, and then talk about these things on your resume. Keep it very short, highlight things you do, and then you should be fine. But then you also ask that what level of knowledge about Web3, which is the second question, what level of knowledge about Web3 and blockchain is typically expected alongside being, solidity developer or increasing your chances, right? So in this case that you know that you don't have like job market experience, I would advise that you shoot short to like internship roles, right? If you shoot to, entry level or mid-level or junior, you might, it's a might, right? You might not get it, because what they will just check basically is your experience. And if you don't have like professional experience, they won't even consider it. In fact, you might even get automatic rejection when you apply, because once the machine they use, the ATS machine they use to scan resume, and you don't meet all the requirements, it just kicks you out and then send automatic rejection, right? So it's ideal for you to shoot short to like internship project or entry level. When I mean entry level, like entry level that they will give you chance for you to, have an interview, tell them what you know how to do, and seek if they have like any opportunities for internship, even if they don't want to hire an entry level, right? So when you mean level of knowledge expected in Web3 for you to increase your chances, I think the specific knowledge here is just for you to, keep building, to be honest. The more you build, the more you understand some things. So when they give you like text or tasks for you to do, you are able to do them. Or maybe you are like doing interview process, or they schedule an interview meeting with you and they're asking you like technical questions. The more you build, the more you understand those questions, or the more you'll be able to answer this question. So typically it's just like building, keep getting like, keep sharpening your skill set, then getting comfortable at doing what you're doing and really doing it well. Those are like what you need to do. And that's the requirement for you to like succeed and then increase the chances of, securing a job in the field. How would that answer your question?
Thank you. Most pro dev, your hand have been up for a while. Please, can you unmute and you have the mic now? Okay, I think you responded in the chat box, right? Okay, I think we've come to the end of this amazing session. Any other question before we wrap up?
Sorry. I didn't know my mic was muted.
Yes.
So like what I wanted to talk about before was when Mr. Idris talked about the jobs parts of the space. Then I just wanted to add a little stuff there. Is that it's a particular act that I've been using to get some little jobs and something in the space, is that if you can just get a particular company or something, because even if you like message their founders or even the part of their team, they may not even look at your side, as Mr. Idris said. So like most times, but one thing you can always do is that you can check on their product, their company, and like since you have skill set as a developer, for example, myself, I can just look at their DApp and check through the faults and the ways they can improve their DApp and build a solution for myself, and I'll not propose it to them on the team. Then that way I have an higher chance of getting a job with them.
Exactly. That's really, really good. That's incredible, because those are like ways for you to even get attention, or like, when I mean not attention like for them to even respond. You understand? Those are like strategies for you to employ to, you know, get like role, like the person that asks the question of, you know, increasing chances of getting or securing a job role in the Web3 space. These are like ways for you to get closer to your potential employer and then help them do something, and they find you worthy of, you know, employing. Sometimes it's not even that you are not good. It's just probably you are not shooting the right shot, or you are not applying to the role that fits into your experience.
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you for contributing that.
Thank you so much, everybody. We've answered all questions and we've come to the end of tonight's session. Please make a tweet on Twitter, send in your review, and thank you so much, everybody. Idris, do you have anything else to say before we wrap up?
No, thank you so much. I just wanted to add that like this is 1 out of 1,000 workshops or 1,000 sessions that we'll be having under the umbrella of Web3 Africa. And this is a series separate from all our activities. So we would like to always have you on board. We'd like to always have you join calls, especially when we also invite some external speakers to come learn from them, to come understand like how to navigate the space properly. And if there are some technical things that you're struggling with, we would also be glad to, you know, for you to share your experience and some of the things that you would like us to talk about in the, you know, subsequent sessions that will be coming up, either technical or non-technical. We are happy to help. And yeah, thank you so much for joining. The session will be recorded and we'll upload it to our YouTube channel for reference. You can also share with friends. Yeah, I see somebody asked that when next, please. All of this will be communicated, but it is going to happen every month. Then we'll communicate dates as we get closer to each workshop session. But this is going to happen every month. Thank you very much for joining.
Yes, thank you so much. Like Idris said, it's going to be every month, and our speaker for the next month and the subsequent month is ready. So just keep your eyes on the announcement session as well as our Twitter. And also our Twitter spaces will be starting. In fact, we should have Twitter space next Sunday. So it's going to be filled as well. And we can't wait to see everybody. Good night, everybody, and have a lovely night. Bye.